it was right then and there. I knew whoever is running the ship doesn't think I can play running back.
Mhm.
And then that staff left. And I remember when they told me, hey, Norv Turner is going to be the coordinator. First thing I did, I'm like, hey, let's look at the backs he's coached. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Emmett Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles. Like, these are guys. And I'm like, these are backs. Once the schedule comes out, it's like, who cares? You just go ball. As a player, you can't even think about these things. You just have to go out there, lace them up, and go ball.
When you get to Australia, there's going to be someone that wants you to go box a kangaroo. Don't do it. I've seen those videos, and those kangaroos get after it now. They don't fool around.
You know, my brothers and I would try to see who can dunk their head in the ice tub the longest, and we would steal the protein bars out of the equipment room. And
Scott and I used to steal stuff from the training room too.
All the time.
Like,
what would you guys
we'd
take?
open the fridge and be like, oh, they have Coke here. Can we get a Sprite? Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. Welcome to The Family Business, a podcast about football and life from the perspective of a coach and his daughter. I'm Stephanie Turner. I'm here with my dad, Norv, and my brother, Scott. And today we are so excited to welcome our first current NFL player onto the podcast. He is one of the most dynamic players in football, an all-pro, an offensive player of the year, San Francisco 49er, Christian McCaffrey. Welcome.
Appreciate you guys having me. This is an honor. So thank you.
You're fresh off the practice field, right? You're out OTAs right now?
Yep, up in OTAs. I think we're in week 4 now. So phase 2, we start up phase 3 next week. So starting to get the ball rolling a little bit.
How's it feeling?
It's good. It's been really good. It's always OTAs. I love OTAs because there's not you start to really find out kind of who your team is. The rookies come in, they're starting to learn, the standard and how everything works. But it's just a really good kind of like an initiation phase for all of us to start getting the timing down and get the football, situated and all that stuff going. But more importantly, just being around each other and starting to get the culture where we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys have the great chemistry anyway, and you have had so much success. It was probably 30 years ago. I ended up with a number of coaches, but Bill Walsh was there, and it was in June, but they used to have these meetings. And I asked him, he was still doing something, advising or something with the 49ers. And I asked the question, well, how's the offseason? How'd everything go? What are you doing? And he says, listen, he goes, I've been doing this a long time. There's 32 teams. He goes, everyone's excited in May. Everyone's going to go to the Super Bowl. Everyone's, they got the energy and all that. But there's really only about 10 that have the real chemistry. And you build that by being together, which is what you guys have done. You got a great core nucleus. And then when you can add players, obviously, you can add a couple players that make a big difference, but it's the veterans in my mind that sustain that. So you got the same kind of excitement in December and January that you have in May and June, because as Coach Walsh said, everyone's excited in May and June, and no one's getting hit. So it's
no, it's that's so true and well said. I always think OTAs, everything's important. It's if you wait till week 10 and 11 to give the speech, whatever that speech is, where guys are pumping each other up and we got to fix this, it's way too late. And so many of those culture setting characteristics that the best teams have are developed now, and so that's why I love this time of the year, because it's not just like, we show up and, we're having a good time and this and that. It really is the start of finding out who your team's going to be in December when it is difficult. And you can look back to some of these times and be like, no, we've been working since May, since June. And we developed the time and spent the time to get that culture right. Because regardless of how good your nucleus is, it really is every year you have a different team, and all of the new guys that come in have to understand what that standard is.
Mhm.
And that's where, as veterans who have been on the team a long time, you can't get complacent and take that for granted, because every year really is a new year.
Mhm.
No, that's definitely true. And, it's really important what you're saying. And the other thing is, like, it's so good with what you guys have, where it's, the players put it on their shoulders, like the veteran players like you and Kittle and the quarterback who's now a veteran. Now, when they realize, or when you guys realize how important it is, and you hold the new players or the younger players accountable, it means so much more than when it's coming from, the coaching staff. You know what I mean? And the urgent, like what you're talking about, is just the urgency you got to have this time of year, and not when it's week 10 and you're 5-5 and you're trying to
Right. Right.
pull the season together, and but no, I think that's really important. And having that's what people talk, everyone talks about culture and leadership and all that, but that's what it's about, is when, there's a nucleus of players that say, this is the way things are done around here. And then they hold everybody, to that standard.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's football is so hard as it is. And even when everything's right, it can still go wrong. And so I feel like when you don't have a good culture and you don't have that good core, and you do have a wishy-washy character on your team, you're making it so much harder, and it's already so challenging. So it is fun to be a part of a team that's completely bought in. It makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah. And so you guys have a history together. The three of you worked together at the Panthers, and I'm sure have a lot of great stories from that time. What do you, Dad, I'll ask you, what do you remember about that time with Christian and meeting him as a young player?
Well, I remember, obviously, you guys started at the start, and I remember going in there, and Scott had worked there with most of the coaches that were there, and we joined them. And Christian was going in. I think it was Christian's second year, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And there was a mixed feeling, and everyone loved Christian, but there was a mixed feeling of what type of back he was, and everyone wants the 240-pounder that can, run through a wall or whatever. And everyone's telling us, well, Christian is more of a scat back and perimeter guy and receiver and can do. And my only my deal was seeing him playing college, and he ran more gap scheme plays than anyone in the history of football, up and down the field, and breaking tackles and run through people and making long runs. We all saw it. So we kind of had the conversation, and you're not going to win the argument. You just got to let it play out. And we played Miami in preseason and ran whatever we called it, 40 counter or 44 counter or whatever, out of deuce right slot fly, brought it back to the safety side. And Christian proceeded to go 80 yards with it. I think it was the second play of the game or something. And
it was the first play of the game. It was an 80-yard touchdown, the first play of the game.
And hit the gap, and the corner got caught up and wasn't anywhere near to get there. And Christian hit the open field, and bang, he was in the end zone. And I said, that put that myth to rest. I mean, he can run the counter type plays, the gap scheme plays, the power scheme plays, whatever.
On the same subject, I don't know if you guys remember this conversation, but it was the three of us talking. I think it was halfway through like that first year. It was some point, and Christian, you were on one of your rants about, you were mad because everyone was calling you a smaller back, and you started listing. I don't remember the players, but you started listing all the backs in the league that you were bigger than. You're like, I'm bigger than this guy. I'm bigger than him. Like, I don't know why. Like, I run between the tackle. I don't know why they're saying it. You're like, maybe I should just get a bunch of tattoos and then then they'll think I'm bigger. And then my dad said, if you do that, everyone just will think you're Justin Bieber.
You know, it's funny. I did get the tattoos too. And he's like, "Oh, you have tattoos?" I'm like, "There's only one reason I got tattoos. It's because I was sick of people calling me small." But now
I'm impressed.
Do you remember that conversation?
Justin Bieber
We were just like, oh my
Justin
God.
Bieber.
Yeah.
I do remember that though, man. Yeah. No, I think I'll let you guys finish and I'll tell my side of the origin story. But go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so I remember the first conversation I ever had with Norv was I was in the hot tub or ice tub or something. And you know, I've always obviously I want to beat the opponent, but I've always wanted to gain respect of whoever it is that's calling plays, obviously, right? Like I want them to like me so that they play me and give me the ball. Like that's my first thought. And I need to be better than the other guys in the room. And so it was one of our first days of OTAs, and I knew Norv was in the building, and he came into the ice tub, and I'm like, I had this like line in my head, like, "Hey, what's up, coach? How's it going? Like, nice to meet you. I'm Crit, blah blah blah." And I got like 3 words in, and he goes, "Can you throw?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Can you throw?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "All right," and then left. And that was my intro to him. And I'm like, "What just happened?" But I give so much of my success in the NFL credit to you because, and I don't take this for granted, but that was true. There were people that just, for whatever reason, didn't think I could run between the tackles, didn't think I could run inside zone and power, regardless of what I'd already done in college. And it takes somebody to believe in you and give you a shot, and say, no, he can. You know, as much as I could have done, there were people that had their mind just stuck in their ways and didn't think I could do it. And when you came in, you did think I could, and you guys gave me that op. And I'm forever grateful for that because that really sparked the start of my career. I looked at my rookie year as such a waste because I thought I was so much better than what I put on, you know, not even what I put on tape, but I just felt like I had earned more touches and earned this and that. And I was lucky, man. I had Jonathan Stewart and Fozzie Whitaker in that room, and I got to learn from such great vets. But, you know, I couldn't help but be like, man, I know I need to be, I can carry the ball. Like I can be a running back. And I'll never forget how mad I was. There was one time Jonathan Stewart like threw his back out the night before we played Atlanta. And I'm thinking in my head, this is going to be my breakout game. This is my rookie year. And they used me the exact same as they'd been using me. They threw me like a couple swing passes, a couple screens, and that was it. And they put the other kid in to carry most of the load. And he was a good player, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to, you know, talk crap on him or anything, but it was right then and there. I knew whoever is running the ship doesn't think I can play running back.
Mhm.
And then that staff left. And I remember when they told me, hey, Norv Turner is going to be the coordinator. First thing I did, I'm like, hey, let's look at the backs he's coached. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles. Like, these are guys. And I'm like, these are backs. I'm like, similar height and weight as me, even though half the league thinks that I'm a small back. I'm like, you know, this was that I was so excited because I'm like, now I feel like I can play football. And man, I learned so much in that first year. And it really opened up Pandora's box of it just in my own confidence. Like, man, I think I can really do this. And you gave me that opportunity. And I'll never, ever forget that. And I'm always indebted to you for that. So thank you.
Well, what's amazing, and it's always a catch-22 situation. You led the NFL in touches last year, and I don't know how many years. I just was given that information by a friend when I was driving up here. I know it's always high. I've coached a few guys that led the league in touches, and there's always a fine line because to get over 400 touches, you have to get 20. Well, now 17 games, but when there were 16 games, you had to get 25 a game, and when I know my experience with some of these other guys, particularly with Emmitt, they said, "Were you trying to kill him? He had 28 carries. You trying to kill him?" Well, if he only gets 20, you're saying, why aren't you using him? You know, and if you get 25 a game, you're going to go 400 or over 400, and that's a lot of touches for for anybody, but the great backs can handle it, and the one thing you and I experienced, what I learned from John Robinson is the more touches they get during the games, that's like practice. I mean, it's practice for the player, and you get a feel for running different plays, that whatever they are. And we ended up doing it, and I think it helped you stay healthy. Wednesdays don't have to be a big day for the running back. You pick and choose what you want to see. Coach Robinson, we got to wear, whether it was Dickerson or at SC, Ricky Bell, Marcus Allen, they didn't even practice that first day. The guys wouldn't practice. Young guys would get it. Then you keep moving on to the game, and it does take a little bit of a toll off you. But 400 touches in the NFL is a real challenge, and it's a physical and mental challenge. And obviously you've handled it amazingly.
Oh, you're exactly right. I think, well, first, like, running back is such a rhythmic position. And I always said, because especially nowadays, and maybe it was back then too, but people are so obsessed with the touch count. And, I was like, comparing it to a 3-point shooter in the NBA. You don't tell a 3-point shooter, hey, man, you got 10 shots this game. You have 10, you're only allowed to shoot 8 threes this game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that, because now the guy, you're only thinking about, I got to make these 8 count. So then you start pressing, and then you're like, maybe you won't take the one that's open because you're waiting for a better one. It's not healthy for a running back or a 3-point shooter or a receiver to be like, yeah, you're only going to have this many touches today. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing you could ever tell a competitor. And you're right. 25 carries against a 9-man front. Yeah, maybe that's a lot. 25 carries, but you're going off for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'd give him the ball as much as humanly possible, because one, he's not slowing down, and 2, he's in a groove. That's what you play and you coach to win. And so my thing is, I never care if they're going to sub me out. I don't look, you do what you got to do, what you think is best, and we can have a conversation later. But if me being on the field is what's best for the team in order to win, it's not a coach's job to keep the player healthy fully. Maybe a little bit, but you said it best. The wear and tear is on Sundays. The rest of the week, I don't care if you don't practice Wednesday, you don't practice Thursday. If you can withstand the storm of the season Sunday to Sunday, and you have to take Wednesdays off, that's where you do load management. You do load management in practice. When, is it hard to get 450 touches a year and practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, full speed? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier to do it when you don't practice Wednesdays, and that's your regen day. And that's your day where you're getting your lift in and you're getting everything activated. It gives you a full extra day of rest. And so I'm with you. I never understood why people are so obsessed with, oh, you're going to kill them. It's like the difference between, and by the way, I've seen guys get injured in the first quarter after 3 touches.
Right.
It's not
Right.
like, oh, the 28th is when once you're past a certain amount, you're really in a rhythm of the game. You get in a flow of the game. And that's when again, I always said it's much harder to come in off the bench and get 3 carries randomly throughout the game than it is to get 25 total where you're in a groove.
Yeah, no question.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're definitely said it. And you also, the one thing I will say though, Christian, is back in 2018, I don't know, you weren't too happy about taking Wednesday practice off. So you have matured. You've gained some knowledge and some perspective, I think, as you've gotten older in your career, because I mean, you wanted to be out there every rep of every practice, and again, you were a second year player, and I know you were trying to kind of prove yourself at that point, and that was different. But we had fun those 2 years for sure, and we were pretty good offense in 18, and obviously we had some of the injury issues, and those seasons kind of fell apart, but it was definitely. We definitely had a lot of fun working with you. I remember at the end of the 19 season, and we were trying to get you over 1,000 yards receiving. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that.
against the Saints, and we were like, and they scored like every single time they touched the ball, and like it
Yeah.
was just like a disaster. And like Ron had been fired at like a month before, and I was like the only thing that, and I remember I was calling the plays like the only thing that matters is getting Christian
Yeah.
this yard, and then and the Saints knew it too, so they were just like only focused on you. It was like the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've ever done. And then I mean, and you also, and then finally Kyle hit you on the scramble drill, like, and we weren't sure because we were like right on the number, so we had you in for like and threw like a 5-yard completion. They're like, all right, he's out now. We're good. Like we like everyone double check, make sure we got
Yeah.
the yards. Like
I remember that very vividly. Again, that's little stuff, man, that like, you tell people, oh, I got 1,000 in a season. You're one of 3 players to ever do it, and that's great. But it's like, you know what, man? I think I had 65 yards to go
yeah,
in that game receiving, which that's a lot for a running back to get 65 in a game. So I'm like, fuck, I really hope I do it. But again, like, you guys made sure I got that. Like, you didn't
yeah,
have to do that. Like a lot of people would have been like, yeah, no, save them for next year. Like, I wanted it so bad. You guys wanted it for me, and I appreciate that. But I do remember that I ran that shallow cross, and then I kind of stopped, even though it was man. Kyle hit me
yeah.
on a scramble drill. I made a miss, and field was so slippery, and I remember going to make a cut and kind of slipped. And Chris Hogan was like, dude, I think you just got it. And I go back to the sideline. They're like, you're at 1,000. And they're like, we can't keep you at 1,000 because like sometimes in the stat books it might
Yeah,
have you at like 999. So
yeah.
you called like some H angle, like it would
Yeah, it was just.
Texas route or
Remember,
something.
we called it Waco, so it was like the tech,
Waco,
and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
yeah,
And I caught it for like 4 yards, dropped right to the ground, and just spread it off the side. We were
do you
down by
remember?
like 42.
Oh my god, that was brutal. And then Keekly, I remember Keekly coming up to me on the sideline. He's like, like in the fourth quarter when you got the record, and he was just like, man, he was like that he was like, I can't believe you got it for me. That seemed like it was really hard to do. Like every play, I didn't care like what happened. It was just like just find a way, because the one play you got it, because anything out of the backfield, they were like hitting you, they weren't letting.
I know.
So then I was like, all right, we just got to go to empty and like put him on a zero route, and hopefully
I
like
know.
Kyle will find him. Like,
Well, we hit that one seam. I think that was an explosive. And
yeah,
I cut back. I shouldn't have. If I didn't cut back, I would have got it on that play. I should have just trusted my speed. And then I think we got it on the shallow and then solidified it on the Waco.
yeah, for sure.
That's
That
funny.
was yeah, that was a classic for sure.
So Christian, my son is 7 and he runs track, and we had his end of track season picnic yesterday, and we were at the
He's
park.
a little guy right now, kind of like you. He's not real.
Oh, so he's 6 foot 215.
Yeah. So anyway, one of his coaches is a big 49er fan, and so I was like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be talking to Christian, and what do the 49er fans want me to ask? I'm like, represent all the fans here, and what should I ask him? What should we talk to him about? And he was like, how is he so good at everything? And I think, and he has a son on the team, and he's a coach, and he was an athlete himself, and so I think he brought up something that is like, so, it's specific to you, but your versatility, and like, how are you so good? And how did you develop all of those different skills over the course of your athletic career? Whether that was like, obviously I know your parents are both athletes, and I imagine that was a big part of your upbringing.
First off, I really credit a lot of it to just my genetics. I'm very lucky that both my parents were very good athletes. Their parents were athletes. I come from a really athletic gene pool, and not just with football. There's people in my family that ran track, people that played basketball at really high levels, lacrosse at high, all of these different sports that a lot of people in my family played. And so from a young age, I played everything. I played football, I played basketball, I played baseball, ran track, did gymnastics, whatever it was. And I just remember growing up, whatever sport I was playing is what I wanted to do for a living. So that was something that excited us. As soon as it was basketball season, I wanted to be Allen Iverson, and I loved basketball. And then when we ran track, I was obsessed with it. I'm like, I think I'm going to be an Olympic sprinter. Obviously, I wasn't, but I think that had such a big part of me wanting to not just be put in a box of I play running back in football. And I think playing basketball, running track, playing baseball, I looked at all of those things the later I got in my life as that's how I trained for football was I played other sports. Basketball was, vision, hand-eye coordination, quickness, leaping ability, change of speeds, reactions, when you're playing defense, reacting to somebody and mirroring somebody, and you still get the team aspect. Obviously, track, just straight ahead speed and learning how to sprint. And so I looked at those two sports when I was in high school as that's the best way to train for football. So for me, it was I loved them. I loved playing multiple sports. And then, my dad played receiver, my older brother played receiver. And when I started playing running back, I was 7 years old because they got the ball every play. And I wanted, they couldn't throw when you were in little league. So I was like, I want the ball every play. Running back gets the ball every play. And so, I played running back, but when we would train, like as a family, and we would go out and, go to the park or whatever, and my dad would play catch with us, he was coaching us on how to run routes and route integrity and the different dynamics of it and how many steps to take in and out of breaks. And so I trained like a receiver my whole life, but I played running back. And I would say that's probably the best way to train for running back is to run full speed receiver routes, because it's very violent to have to really open up your stride, break down with minimal steps, maintain speed, maintain, head position and all these things. And that's really what running back is too. But I don't know. I think I credit it to my childhood, the way I grew up and the different sports I played.
Who was harder on you growing up? Was your mom or your dad?
Definitely my dad. I mean, my mom barks, but my mom was definitely our safe space.
I just know, I remember some of the stories you told me about some of the stuff your mom would say to you, or like some of your brothers maybe with sports.
Yeah, no, my mom, they were both, I mean, ultra competitive, but man, we really, I mean, I'm so lucky. I have the best parents where I never felt like I couldn't, I always felt like I could fail and still learn from something as much as it hurt me. I think one of the things myself and my brothers all had in common is we really cared about it. And, we were those kids when we were really young and we lost a soccer game, we would cry. And then, my dad had to teach us how to not cry when you lose. So it was like there was a lot of love because we cared and we really wanted him to coach us. We wanted to know, like I craved that kind of knowledge from a young age. I want to know all of the tricks, all of the secrets, everything that you did. So, because I wanted to be really good. And so, my dad, everyone thinks he was a psycho. Like, he had you doing this, this, and this, but we really wanted it. We were like, yeah, I liked winning more than I liked not. And so if this is what it takes to win, all of the little tricks of the trade that he did when he played, he kind of instilled in us.
Did you feel a pressure to play in the NFL like he did? Like, because obviously, I guess I should say, did you remember him playing because you were pretty young when he retired, right?
Yeah, I was 6 or 7, and I don't remember the games as much as I remember being in the locker room and playing Power Rangers with guys like Shannon Sharp and Rod Smith, and my brothers and I would try to see who can dunk their head in the ice tub the longest, and we would steal the protein bars out of the equipment room. And I remember that stuff really vividly. I don't really remember the games, but then just growing up, I remember being in grocery stores and people coming up to my dad and singing his praises. And I kind of, obviously with how much film there is now, like I've seen every play of his. I've seen all the highlights, all the Super Bowl years that they had. And I feel really proud because it's really cool. I think my favorite thing about my dad is hearing his old teammates talk about him. I would say like that's the best compliment you can get is from your teammates. And even to this day, when I hear, because a lot of the 49ers coaches were there when my dad played, and the way that they talk about him and the way he did things is it makes you proud as a son. So that's the stuff I remember and some of the nostalgia that sticks with me from back then.
Right. Scott and I used to steal stuff from the training room too.
All the time.
Like,
What would you
we would.
guys
we'd
take?
open the fridge and be like, "Oh, they have Coke here. Can we get a Sprite? Like, what else
The
do they
old
have?
canned
Is this
Gatorades, and get as
free?"
many canned Gatorades as you can get.
Those are legendary. I don't think they think they still
Gatorade
barely make them.
cans. I know.
You get
I
them.
remember
I
those.
just saw some the other day, actually. Somewhere I don't remember where I was, but like very, very rarely do you see those. But it's like the coldest. It was like the coldest way you could get Gatorade was in the cans. Those are classic.
We remember the Tiger bars. You remember the Tiger bars?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we would eat like 12 of them a day.
And back in the day,
Greek was I forget the equipment guy's name, but he used to just like sneak us like 4 or 5, and me and my older brother would just get hopped up on the Tiger bars and whatever else they had. There was like the slushies. They had like the slushy machines when it was a hot day.
back in the day, like there wasn't that. Like now in facilities, like there's so much food, like so much snacks, but like
Right.
back then, there wasn't a lot of options back then. Like as a
No.
kid, you kind of had to like scrounge and like you said, like find the right guy, like find the equipment guy, or like,
Yeah. No,
like
it's
it
so
wasn't.
true.
It wasn't like it is now. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
unfortunately, I was with a couple of organizations that the highlight was when they brought the McDonald's in for lunch. It's changed considerably since back then.
Yeah.
So the schedule just came out. How do you feel about it? What are your thoughts?
I never care about the schedule until I just look at the bye week. Like, hey, when's the bye week? Because you can that middle of the year bye week is always good because I feel like you get an honest 7, 8 games in, and then
Yeah.
you kind of get refreshed and then ready for another run.
When is your bye week? I'm just looking at it right
It's
now.
week 8.
Okay.
It's week
That's
8. So
perfect.
it's a perfect bye week.
Perfect.
So I feel good. We travel a lot, but we travel a lot every year. Being on the West Coast, that's just one of the things you got to deal with is travel.
But you
Yeah,
guys
that's like
have
when
international games, right?
you're going to Australia, right?
Yeah, we play in Australia week 1.
I'm sure you're really excited about that.
I mean, that's we've talked about that a little bit on the podcast, how brutal those trips can be. Just the jet lag, the logistical part of like that long of a trip. But I mean, for week 1 is not a bad time to have to do it, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. Week 1 is not. We also play in Mexico though. That's where I was. We have 2 international games. I've never
Yeah.
heard of that, but look, it is what it is. Again, you can't change stuff, so you might as well try to have a good attitude about it. I think going to Australia week 1, from what I've heard is it's better than going to Europe from California because even though it's such a long trip, your clock is still the same. It's just the next day.
Okay.
So, look, does it make it easier? Absolutely not. But it just means you have to do a little bit extra and really plan your week accordingly and then plan the next week accordingly. So I'm sure all the sports scientists and everybody will have good plans for us for,
Right.
in-flight routines and post-flight routine, all these things that you got to do. But
Yeah.
I remember when, you always like dread and when we went to London, when people ask about the London game, I'm like, man, I really don't want to go to London to play. This is such a grind. Like you got to fly 8 hours. This is another thing people don't understand. You don't have your facility. So you don't have your hot tubs, your cold tubs,
Yeah.
your red light beds. You don't have your bed. You're sleeping in a hotel on a different bed, different pillows, different mattress. Your recovery people that you're used to seeing, unless the team's taking them with you, it's all of the logistics surrounding the week that makes it tough. But then when you win, you're like, oh, it's an awesome trip. Great trip. I love that trip.
Right.
Like we went to Mexico 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I remember we had to practice at Air Force that week to get used to the altitude. And you're just like, what are we doing? Like we're, the whole week you're away from home. As soon as you get your pads on and you run out there and you see 125,000 screaming fans who are so pumped for you to be there, that's when it's like, all right, this is cool.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you can handle the trip, it'll be fun.
Yeah. We've done some London games. Um, and that, yeah, we've talked about it here. Like people don't realize what a grind it is for all the reasons that you said. Like you're not in your comfort. You go ahead of time to have the week of practice there, but then what are you giving up by doing that? And it's like your routine, your bed at home, like all of those things. And it does, as exciting as it is, I think, for the NFL, and obviously we know the reasons why they're doing it and to bring in a bigger audience, and that's all great. It does put it, and I know my dad has complained about this for years. Like it puts a little bit of an extra strain on the coaches and the teams, but it'll be great. You guys will win, and it'll be great. It'll be both. They'll be great
Yeah.
trips.
No, I know. It's always funny when people ask me that because you're just like, do I tell them how I really feel?
Right.
Or do I? But it's true. It's like, these are the 55 problems that come with having to go to an international game, but it's great.
Right.
It's, but
But do you feel like the fans are really into it?
I'm sure. I mean, why wouldn't they be? If I were
Yeah.
a fan, I'd be on cloud nine. If I imagine being an Australian fan and you get an NFL game, first
Yeah.
game of the season, and it's the Niners versus Rams. I mean, that's got to be so exciting. Like, maybe. I mean, I
But
think.
I mean,
You know,
like
I
as a
hope so,
player
but-
on the field, you feel that energy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it depends on where you're playing, I'm sure, but like I've seen the videos of this stadium and it's unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
again, but you're not like in Mexico when you have all of those people singing the Mexican national anthem and there's like 120,000 belting it, and we showed up at 3 a.m. and got to our hotel, and I mean there had to have been 1,000 people at our hotel going bonkers at 3 a.m. for when we got there. So like it does mean a lot to the fans. And that's the part that makes it really cool. And look, at the end of the day, it's the NFL's growing and they're going to make a lot more money with these international games. And that's why they're doing it. And, from a business perspective, it's good for them. You are going to make a lot more money. It is definitely, it's not easier on the players, but
Yeah.
again, there's pros that come with it.
Yeah.
No, I think like as a player or a coach, like you'd like to play every single game at 1 o'clock at home on Sunday. You know what I mean? And like,
Right.
so you're saying you keep the same weekly routine, but like obviously that's not possible. And especially a team like you guys that's got marquee players and you guys have had success, like they're going to move you guys around and you're going to have to play,
Right.
some primetime games. And, that's part of it. But I think what you said is the logistics of like the scheduling, just because as much as you can keep your routine, again, players and coaches, like it just makes your life so much easier. So that's the biggest thing for me. Like when you would look at the schedule is like, all right, how much are we going to be able to just go do what we have our normal week every
Right.
week, because every time that gets up, it gets thrown off. It just, like you said, it's just, you have to do a little bit extra to prepare. And it's not
Yeah.
necessarily bad. It's just, that's the truth of it.
Yeah. I'm just
That's exactly right.
looking at your schedule. So you guys play the NFC East.
I just know the division, obviously, right now is the most competitive division in football. And, Seattle obviously defending and the Rams are right there and you're right there. Those games were all so close and most of them could have gone either way. It's a challenging division, so every one of those games counts, and that's, I'm sure, Kyle, his comments about the whole Australia thing and all that.
Yeah.
It's you want to be in the best position to go win, and it's amazing how every one of those games end up deciding. I mean, you got 11 wins or 10 wins. That's a big difference. I mean, it may not sound like that, but it is. And it's the difference in winning a division or being a wild card team or not making it.
No, it's so true. I remember in 2022, the year I got traded, we, look, it's little things that aren't little at all. They're huge things. We were the 2 seed, which means, instead of having every playoff game at home, now you got to fly to Philly for the NFC Championship game, and that's it's stuff like that where that is the advantage or disadvantage of, and every game matters. And so when it seems like, oh, it's just the first game of the season, like that's not how we think about these things. We don't think about it as, oh, it's the first game of this. It's like, no, this is the Super Bowl this week, and it's
Yeah.
the Super Bowl next week, and every week we have to go in there. We're fighting for the Super Bowl essentially, like, and I think that's the how serious each one of these games are. And again, when we go to LA and play the Rams at SoFi, we tend to have a really big 49er fan base, and it's a big sea
Mhm.
of red.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's awesome. We like going there and playing, and we have the most incredible fans on the planet. Well, now we're going to Australia instead of going to SoFi to play that game. It's an
Mhm.
away game for us, but we lose out on that advantage now. So there's all these little mind games that when you're
Right.
thinking about them, you think about them. But at the end of the day, and this is what I always tell myself, like once the schedule comes out, it's like, who cares? You just go ball. As a player, you can't even think about these things. You just have to go out there, lace them up, and go ball. Because that's at the end of the day, it's going to be a 4-quarter football game, and you got to do what you got to do to be at your best.
Yeah.
Well,
And
my advice.
I just want to say, you play the Chargers. So just so you know, you're also going to have a sea of 49er fans because I'm sorry to say, but Charger games usually have over half of the other team's fans there because I don't know why Charger fans just don't show up. But
My brother is the running back coach of the Chargers now.
oh, okay. Well,
Is he really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knew that. I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So spend some time together at Saucy's. But yeah, I hope so. I hope
yeah.
if we play
Well,
there, I hope-
I'll go to that game and cheer for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just going to, because I got to know you pretty good in those 2 years in Carolina. When you get to Australia, there's going to be someone that wants you to go box a kangaroo. Don't do it. I've seen those videos, and those kangaroos get after it now. They don't fool around, so don't do
Those
anything crazy.
Yeah. I won't unless he starts it, or unless he calls me small, and then I might have to change my mind.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to, just because that's who I am. What did the owner in Carolina, Mr. Tepper, what did he say to you the first time he met you? That's a great one.
Yeah, I thought I was getting traded instantly. I'm shocked it took him 3 years to get rid of me. I first met Mr. Tepper, and I'm in a room with I think this was before the third year. It's me, Cam Newton, who's a giant.
Yeah.
Julius Peppers, who's giant. Luke Kuechly, who's a big dude. Greg Olson, who's a big dude. Thomas Davis, who's a big dude. And then it's me. And again, I was 22 years old, and I looked young. And I'm a white running back, call it what it is. And I remember he came up to me. And again, I'm like, how you envision these intros going is never how it goes. So I'm like, hey, Mr. Tepper, Christian McCaffrey, nice to meet you. And he looks me up and down. He goes, I thought you'd be bigger. And then walks right up to the front of the room. I'm like, I'll remember that forever.
Well, I remember it because you told me the story. I'm going, oh God.
Yeah, that was
of all things to say. But they've, as crazy as it sounds, two of my favorite guys at that point, obviously you and DJ Moore, and it's crazy that you both get traded, and DJ now is in Buffalo, and I think he's going to take off, and he's a perfect fit for that offense and for the quarterback. So that's exciting too.
No, I think you're exactly right. He's going to have a hell of a year. He's such a gifted receiver, and I think we saw so much of what he can be last year, and I think it's only going to go up in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does such a great job with the ball in his hands. He does a really good job of getting the yards after catch. The first guy very rarely brings him down. Again, that was it is crazy to think you and him, and then you're both on different teams that are both, perennial Super Bowl contender teams. One thing I want to bring up, because I think this is something that most people maybe wouldn't know about you, but do you remember Thursday night or Thursday evening, the fellowships that
Yeah.
FELLA ships that Cam he would get all the Mexican food in there, and it was for the quarterbacks, but then it would always end, everyone would, you come in and you tell a joke.
Yeah.
Which I don't think people would expect that from you. You know what I mean? That you're
Yeah.
gonna,
So it was a
That's one of
quarterback.
my
It was a
best
quarterback
memories.
dinner that would end with Christian coming in with the final.
well, it was in the quarterback meeting room, and Cam would get all this food, like like a just unnecessary amount of food, like enough food for like 20
I
people.
don't think you couldn't have got more food if you tried.
No, like and then Luke would come in and Greg Olson would come in, and quarterbacks would watch film, but it was mostly just guys shooting the shit, and just talking. And then, Christian would come in, but Christian sometimes we, rehabbing or whatever, but we'd always be like, where's Christian? And then you come in for a little bit, but you'd always have a joke. You had a joke every,
Yeah. Those are some of my best
every
memories,
session.
man. I wish I not that I didn't appreciate it, but I wish I appreciated those guys more. Like the later I get in my career, I'm like, man, that core group of guys on that Carolina team was really special. And we didn't make the playoffs, and so many bad things just went wrong with that team. Like that, a lot of uncontrollables, a lot of injuries, a lot of like guys were in when other guys were like, we never got to play as a full unit. And I wish we did, because that was such a special group of guys, man.
Well, that 18 team, that first half of the season, Scott knows the details. We were rolling, and then Cam's shoulder and had the arm injury, and as you said, we had some other things. We struggled in the secondary on defense. That didn't help us. But we're in so many close. I think we were like 7-3, and had so many close games, and just couldn't put them away. But it really was a great group of guys. Great workers. Wanted to be good, worked to be good. It was neat.
No, yeah, it was. That's what I'm saying. We were we were moving the ball on offense. We weren't. We struggled a little bit in the red zone, but like we were up and down the field. I think when we were 6-2, and we were like sixth in the league in total offense at that point, and we finished like 10th in the league in offense. But again, we were in a bunch of those high scoring games and ended up like lose by 4 or lose by 3. You know what I mean? Just couldn't finish. And because we were right there at a chance to make the playoffs. We thought we just some tough games. And then 19, that was the whole thing with Cam's foot, and then the whole.
I know.
But even that season, we started 4-2, and then we were 5-3.
5-3, yeah.
Same thing. Just a couple.
And even there are a couple of those games got away from us, but majority of them we were in every game. I even I go back to the Seattle game where we lost on that 4th down bomb.
Yeah.
Stuff like that was like heartbreaking, but
the Saints game at the Superdome, the first game in their place, you know what I mean? And we were going to kick a field goal to take the lead, and we missed the field goal. Now we should have scored a touchdown, and then they went down and kicked the field goal with no time left, to beat us.
Right. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like just that's how the margin for error is so little. You just, especially when you have guys out and guys injured, like you really have to be on.
Absolutely.
I love Cam so much. I gotta say he's one of my favorite teammates I've ever had in my entire life.
He came on the podcast.
Yeah,
did you?
Yeah.
Well, she's going to ask you the question soon.
It was during the fall. So I wasn't on that one with them, but I
would have loved to be on with him.
We might have to maybe we'll do it again.
You guys got to plan that.
We can plan it. I mean, you can only imagine how long it took for me to text, how many months of texting back and forth with Cam. And he was always like, yeah, I'll do it. But then he couldn't, or this, the timing, whatever. And he agreed to do it for the apple pie recipe, my mom's apple pie. He was like, if you send me the recipe, I'll do it.
It's a good business, man.
But I guess we can we'll wrap up and let you go and rest. But my dad was saying, like, the question we ask everybody at the end of the podcast is, what would you, if you hadn't played football, if you hadn't worked in football, what would you do? What's another career you would have done? Do you want to guess what Cam Newton said?
What Cam said?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'd like to guess. If Cam wasn't playing, was this a serious answer? Like what do I think he would do? Or
I mean,
what
he
did
answered pretty serious. I mean, he was serious about the answer. We'll send you the clip of what he said so you can see it. But
he probably said something like he would have been like a pickleball pro or something. What'd he say?
He said he would have opened his own daycare.
Yeah, I'd have been smart, as many kids as he has.
I know. Scott was like, I mean, he basically already has.
I mean, he kind of does. He
My
kind of done it already.
I don't know how many he had at that point. I think he might have had like 4 or 5. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot. Of you done? He's like, no, I want a football team.
Yeah.
He's like, I want like 11 starters. I'm like, God dang.
People don't understand. Like you said, like one of your favorite teammates, but people that like haven't spent time with him don't really understand that, like the way he is, like on his podcast and stuff like that. That's just like how he is all the time.
There's nothing and like people. You want to say something like when people talk bad about Cam, I get legitimately angry because it's coming from such a bad place. Like you really don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you did, you would love him. He's like one of the most lovable people. I remember this is when he came back for the second stint in Carolina. And we were both injured, both not playing. This is like with 2 games left in the season. I was hurt. Tough year. But he came back, and it was refreshing to have him back in the room because that's my guy. And, you know, he meant so much to our team and to Carolina and all these things, whatever. But we're in New Orleans. We traveled to the game, and you know that cafe, the Cafe Du Monde. It's Saturday night in New Orleans, and we're not playing, and our meeting was a little bit later, whatever. And so he's like, "Hey, let's go to Cafe Du Monde. We'll get the O line a bunch of beignets and whatever."
Right.
So it's like 6:00, and it's like in New Orleans on a Saturday night.
Right.
And Cam couldn't have a bigger hat on. And it's me walking with Cam, and it's we're walking through and watching people look at him, notice it's him, and just continue to stare is like the funniest thing. And so we're walking, and you know, the line had to have been 4 blocks long. It's Saturday night in New Orleans, right. Cafe Du Monde. It's like a 4-block line. I'm like, I really don't want to wait in this line. Like, we got to just go back. I didn't say that. I just kept following him. He didn't break stride. He's just walking, passes the line, goes right into the building, gets the janitor, gives the janitor like $200. He goes, go get your manager. And the guy's like, got it. Goes and gets the manager, gives the manager, like, I don't know how much money he was giving these guys, but it was so funny. And he's like, hey man, we're in a rush. We need 15 beignets. I want a black coffee, 3 more black coffees, a couple donuts, whatever it was. He ordered like the house, and the guy's like, yes, sir. Like, no problem. Like, they were so excited to help him out. So they go to the back, they start making, we walk right to the front of the line. And this woman is heated because she'd been waiting in this line for 2.5 hours. And she goes, excuse me, the line is back there. And he grabs all of the beignets and coffees at once. And he looks at her and he goes, life ain't fair, sweetheart. And he just walks away, and we walk right back to the hotel. And it was like, I always knew he was the man, but it was like in that moment, I'm like, this guy's the man. Like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was so funny.
Oh man, my God.
He's legitimately
truly
best.
one of one, I promise.
Yeah, he really is.
There's nobody like him, that's for sure.
No.
So now, okay, now you have to answer. What would you have done?
Me, I'd probably be an NBA All-Star point guard. It's probably no, I don't know. I would probably it would be hard for me to do something not related to football, but if I couldn't do something in like the sports world, maybe something in music or in movie production.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I saw when I
Uh,
was researching you that you had a minor in filmmaking and at
I did.
Stanford, and that's what I do. So I'm a filmmaker. So I was like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be a something in your future. You're
I
gonna,
think that'd be really fun to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
You got to get with you got to get with Ryan Khalil. We had him on
Oh, did you?
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
that was
few
one
He's
of
the
the more
best
recent
too.
ones. So I was on that one for that. So we had him on, and he obviously does the
Oh, he's
filmmaking.
killing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
killing it.
yeah. Him and Blake Griffin own a Mexican professional football team. I just learned that when we had him on the podcast.
I'm in on it. The Osos.
Are
You
you
gotta
really?
watch their games. Yeah.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a
Yeah.
part owner as well?
I'm a part owner. I have a
That's
very minority stake.
yeah.
As much of minority stake as you could have, I have, but I also don't really do much for him, so it's fair. But no, he is the man, Ryan Khalil. He's another guy that gets forgotten in that core, but he was probably the core of that core. When you
Yeah.
look back on it, you hear
Yeah.
about Luke and Cam and TD and Olsen and all these guys, but Ryan Khalil was the engine of he was the nucleus literally as the center, but also like as the leader.
Yeah.
I thought he was the one that really made things run with that culture. I still remember, I think Norv, you said this after, but when he gave that speech towards the end of the year, the red light, yellow light, green light speech, whatever, I still remember you saying that was one of the best speeches I've ever heard. And I thought the same thing. That's something that's stuck with me to this day. But what he meant to like my career as well was another guy that I'm just really thankful for.
Now we need to hear about the
He's very
speech.
good.
What was the speech?
It's one of those you had to be there once.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
you can't even emulate it. It was too intimate and serious and well said that like you just have to kind of be like, you know what, he gave an unbelievable speech.
Yeah,
That's
it
all.
was-
lucky
it was
to
a
be
moment.
there at the time.
Yeah.
I got one. You mentioned something. I certainly don't remember it, but it was kind of a foreshadowing because I guess I asked you if you could throw and then walked away. And then we were playing New Orleans on 4th and a foot, I think. And none of us thought he would ever get into the end zone, but we ran load power pass and you threw a strike.
Yeah,
What-
we threw it to Chris Martinez.
Yeah, that's really
Remember the announcer?
And he was
Yeah.
he was
Martinez?
struggling. It was like a 60-yard, 70-yard touchdown.
it was like 4th-and-1 on the whatever 48-yard line. So it ended up being like a 52-yard touchdown.
And he was struggling to get there. He was, and
And that was
I
another one of my.
I saw him. He's still playing. He was in New York last year. I know.
Yeah,
No, he's playing well too.
Yeah.
He's had a hell of a career. But that was another one of my favorite teammates, man. Chris Manhertz was awesome. I remember we made fun of him so bad on that play because one, the announcer kept calling him Martinez. Two, he almost got hawked. I think it was Marshawn Lattimore was chasing him down.
right.
And three, when he scored, he pointed up into the stands, and we're like, "Dude, like, who are you pointing?" He's like, "I have no idea." Like, no, I'm like, "You just happened to score, and your family was like at eye level." And he's like, "I didn't know what to do. I'd never scored before. I just pointed." Oh, it's funny.
That's funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It's so good to see you, and we're going to be cheering for you this season. I'm going to be at SoFi in my 49er gear.
Let's go. No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Seriously, that was so much. Good to see you guys and connect, and that was a great excuse to just catch up. So you
No,
guys are
it's
some of my
awesome.
Yeah.
some of my favorite people, and again, I feel so indebted to you. So appreciate you guys always.
Good seeing you, man.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll see you on the next one.